they made the really good Tampa team not look that good. They took on a very good Bruins team. Same thing.
They gassed that Bruins team out, though.
Did
Like,
that series go 7 games? Yes.
How gassed the Bruins were after Game 3, really. I wanted to see what the Bruins offense could do with Swayman matching Bobrovsky in per save, it felt like.
Yeah.
It's just whenever the Bruins can get the puck out of the neutral zone and try to attack, because there is always a body nearby at all points. And I think Florida and Boston, they're just going to keep fighting each other. You know what I mean? That's how those games are going to be. They're going to be dogfights.
Yeah, so
Even
like
if it doesn't look like it, they will be.
So like I have the save percentages up here. So like the best save percentage in the playoffs right now is actually Swayman. Swayman had a 933. So 93.3% of the shots he was facing, literally 93 and a little bit out of 100, weren't going in the back of that net. Next best, Igor Shesterkin, who has a 923. Then you get to Jake Ottinger for Dallas. Then it's Bob, who has a 902. Bennett's
that 902 feels a lot higher than it actually is. For what? Am I crazy for saying that, or like realistically, I feel like his 902 should be like a 922. It feels like he should be right behind Swayman. But
so his 902 is because he's faced the least shots. He's only seen 264 shots.
Whereas Swayman is probably it felt like Swayman saw 500 shots a game. It really felt like that.
Between the two series, he saw 373 shots. 373 shots. Over what? Was that 13 games?
13 games.
So
you're looking at
12. It's 12. They played 12. They were 6-6 in the playoffs. Which that's not even bad. 6-6 in the playoffs is not even bad.
No, I think you look at the team that the Bruins have, you think that they'd be able to make a run at it, but
I think a lot of them are old.
They need pieces, dude. Like they still need some pieces to build some depth around that, because you could tell when their fourth line was the line that was really just doing all the work.
Because the Bruins did play 13 games, but Ullmark played one.
Yeah, because I think I told you this. I don't know if I told you this or I told some other people. I thought Ullmark would have slid in one more game, maybe early on in the Florida series, to just try to see what would happen. But it was Swayman's crease, but I feel like it's kind of what Toronto did when they swapped the goalies out midway through. Mm-hmm. They kind of got back in it in that way. I thought the Bruins would try that just to kind of see what would happen.
So I think
they're so used to platooning them out, but
I think that's partially what won the series for Edmonton. The fact that Vancouver had no goalie to switch out. Edmonton was able to go to Calvin Pickard, he's also a very good goaltender. Like don't get it twisted. I don't think he's not a good goaltender, but they were able to go to Calvin Pickard, 100% fresh goaltender. He did his thing. He won the game. Great. And then they went back to Stuart Skinner, who now had a game's rest. And that game's rest, I think, is why Vancouver didn't win on the 20th. As much as I wanted them to win, as much as I thought, there were moments in that game, specifically near the end, that Vancouver needed to play a little bit harder to get where they were going. But they just...
I think it goes back to the point of, you don't take out the hot hand necessarily. Because sometimes taking out the hot hand just throws all that chemistry out the window.
Exactly.
I think the Bruins are kind of scared to do that.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest myth about hockey, and I'll call it a myth. I think like obviously I want to ride a hot goalie. Like if I have a goalie, he's hot, he's doing his thing. Of course I'm putting him in the net the next night. Like mentally, of course I'm putting him in the net the next night. But I think there's some logic to sitting here and say, what if I don't put the goalie in tonight? And instead I give him the night off, right? Bro, take a night off. Have a good one. Like, enjoy. Take a second, be you, enjoy life. Honestly, the right choice. The right choice, 100% of the time. Because rest is really important for a player, and especially in a goaltender. Like, every other skater at least gets a minute to breathe during the game. Goalies do not get a minute to breathe.
Well, they'll probably get
20
seconds, if that.
I mean, the puck can be down the ice in 2 seconds. Like, bang, you clear the puck and it can be all turned around, and I'd be like, oh, uh-oh.
Here's the thing I'm going to use the Bruins series as an example of this, right? Is when you watch the Bruins on the power play or on the penalty kill, how many times are they able to clear that?
The Bruins, I thought, were pretty successful at clearing it. I didn't watch a lot of their games, but
it was more so against Florida, because against Toronto, they probably had their best penalty kill out of the two series. But
I was watching more of the Toronto games because my favorite rivalry in all of sports.
When they were playing Florida, they couldn't clear the puck out of the attacking zone to save their life, and that's how Swayman saw 300 and whatever shots you were bringing up. Because their inability to clear is definitely what killed them there. And I forget what game it was. I think it was Lowry was on a 4-minute power. The Panthers were able to get 2 goals out of a 4-minute power play. I'm just like, and I think maybe 7 or 8 different times the Bruins just failed to clear the puck just to give Swayman 5 seconds to breathe. Because you had Tkachuk, you had whoever else was up front in his grill the whole damn time.
No, exactly, and I think getting a goalie tired is the easiest way to win a game. Like, you can have the best team in the world, but if your goalie is playing like a wet paper bag, it's a very hard night for you.
See, I don't think Swayman was. I think it was just the volume of shots Florida was getting up kind of led him to be like, I feel like in his own head, he was just like, can these guys get the puck out once so I can have a second to like just kind of skate, kind of move around the crease a little bit?
So that's my point, right? Like, they created the wet paper bag situation in Swayman because he was overworked. Like there were points in games where, honestly, if I was Florida, I really could have had a wet paper bag in net because the pressure was down there. But the downside to that is if you don't have a team that can really hem you into your zone, make you lose your ability to change, and things like that, I don't see how you possibly can win a series. And my dad said it best. He didn't think that the Bruins were going to beat Toronto, and I reminded him, my favorite rivalry in all of sports. Now, I'm a Yankees fan, I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan, Seattle Sounders, Cleveland Browns, not one Boston team. My favorite rivalry in all of sports, the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the playoffs. It's the greatest rivalry in sports.
It's a free win for whoever's playing the Leafs in the first round.
Except for last year. The Leafs did win a round last year.
Well, that was their only round 1 win in like
since 2003.
6-7 years. I just think of the 2013 series against the Bruins, really.
And 2019, they did the same thing. The Leafs.
See, I just rewatched 2013 because that was 2 cup years, wasn't it? 13-19?
19 would have been the, I'm sorry for my broadcaster if you find this. 19 is the St. Louis Blues Stanley Cup Championship. Game 7.
The Bruins should have won that series too, by the way.
I agree. I also think it's nice that the Blues won for one reason only. Current St. Louis Blue Torrey Krug 100% got away with murder as a charging in like game 5, and you can't skate 200 feet, jump off your skates to make a hit, and it not be charging. That is like
that sounds like a slight charge.
That is textbook charging. And sorry, I'm playing with a chess ball. Textbook charging, and it's one of those things where it's like, bud, if you're gonna do this, just think. And I was glad I love to see new Cup champions, people that haven't been champs in a while. Those kind of things I do root for. Like, am I a Browns fan? Yes. Am I a Canucks fan? Yes. Obviously, I want my teams to win. Let's say, in a magical world, the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl this year. Will a little part of me want the Cleveland Browns to not go back to back in Super Bowls? Yes, honestly. Like, obviously, I want my team to win. I want them to win as many championships as possible. Same with the Yankees. I can tell you in 2010, I wanted the Yankees to win the World Series, but a little part of me was like, ooh, you know what'd be cool? Not the Yankees winning back-to-back World Series. Because I like to see new champions. I like to see the championships spread throughout the league. I think it makes the league seem more competitive and make me more likely to watch.
So I want to pivot back to women's sports again.
Okay, sorry.
Caitlin Clark made her WNBA debut. What are your thoughts on?
Well, so I will disclose I do have a friend that works in the front office of the Connecticut Sun. So Caitlin Clark's debut was at Mohegan Sun.
I do have a person in that front office too.
I'm assuming our people know each other.
I'm very much assuming that's the case.
But my point is, I think what my buddy told me, he was like, dude, it was one of the most electric crowds we've had. And he's been there since 2018 when we graduated college together. Actually, he started a little bit. Like, I started my first job in sports in September, and I think he started in October or November. So he started in sports a couple months after me, but he's been at the same team, whereas I've been at 3 different teams now. And we were texting back and forth, and I was like, dude, your crowd, I was like, hey, I didn't get to watch the game. Good luck tonight, everything. Like, go win a ring. Like, my team's done for the year. It's your shot. It's your shot now. I want to know someone that gets a championship ring, like, on the front office side. I don't want to know them when they get their championship ring. Earn it, that is. Because obviously I knew you when you collected your IFL championship ring.
You met me just after that.
Yes. Well, yeah. I think I met you before you
We won the shit, but I didn't get my ring yet. So.
Yes, yeah. Because I was at I attended the last game before the Arizona game. I was there in the crowd, specifically asking my buddy. And we had been to a couple games. I was like, who's the 12-year-old on the sideline? Like, before I met said 12-year-old, we'll get him on the pod.
But it's an inside joke.
Yeah.
The context of which is an inside joke.
Which I found the joke funnier after that was a legitimate question I had asked my friend. And he's like, that's their equipment manager. I'm pretty sure he's not 12. And I was like,
oh, manager, he was an intern. I just want to clarify that little cloud right there.
Yeah, fine. Fair enough. But
equipment intern is a very key phrase there.
To go back to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark's debut, I'm actually looking through my text messages right now to see what my buddy said for verbatim.
I read something that Fever ticket sales went up by like 1,000% no matter where they were going, whether it was home or away.
We sold it and won. They sold the building like out. He said the crowd was around 9,000 for that first game. That's great. Again, going back to my point about the PWHL and the UMass Lowell crowds, the crowds at the Song Center, which is on UMass Lowell's campus. He said like they had 9,000. WNBA been around a lot longer. 96 is the first season of the WNBA, if I'm correct.
I'll agree. I don't have the number on my head.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think the Caitlin Clark effect is in full effect. I've always watched women's basketball. My sister went to college with the son of the UConn women's coach, so I've always watched college basketball and the women's side of sports. Also, my sister played a lot of sports, so I was watching girls and women's sports growing up. So I'm a big proponent of them growing and being popular. Not so hot take. I don't think they'll ever be truly as popular as in the mainstream as men's sports. I think you will have just as rabid fandoms, though, if not more rabid fandoms for these women's teams in the long run, and I think it's great for women and girls. to see people that look like them, right? Like at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's just a lot of work to do. Just
Why
trying to
was
get onto
Brian
that
Scalabrine
equity
my
standard.
favorite basketball player? Because he was just kind of an awkward, proportioned white guy playing in the NBA, and I was like, cool, he can do it, I can do it. Like, obviously I can't. I'm awful at basketball, but like, I remember seeing Brian Scalabrine play in the NBA, and I was like, dude, like normal looking people can make it to the NBA.
Yeah.
So I think I want to see these women's sports grow for the same reason, because I want girls to be able to look up and be like, dude, normal girls can do this.
Yeah, and I think just for kind of that equity side, like there's going to be a lot of work to do on that for
And
probably forever. But
it'll
having those big name players, the first 7 or 8 picks of of this year's WNBA draft are the biggest women's basketball players in the game in college.
yeah, they were, and I think
I think you'll see this more with like the bigger NIL players coming out of. This is on both sides, not so much on one side in particular. That, especially on the women's side, I think they're going to leverage all the NIL opportunities they had and kind of pay it back and pay it forward in the way that they're going to use that influence to grow women's sports. I think that's kind of what it's been missing for the last few years, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But also, going back to the Fever game against the Sun, there's another Mass Pirates connection there. Besides
Obviously us having people in the front office. Carrington, right? His sister plays for the Sun.
Yeah, Darren's sister. I've worked with Darren on some projects, but yeah, his sister put some pretty lockdown defense on Caitlin Clark right away.
That's and like I think it's good for women's basketball because Caitlin Clark, obviously, she deservedly so. Again, fantastic athlete, and anyone that says anything else is kind of a dick.
Incorrect. It's an incorrect statement saying that she's not a great. But I think there's just a learning curve going from college to professional. That's just any sport, not just basketball, not just baseball, whatever it is.
And I think
there's going to be the learning curve because of the pace of play is always going to be different going from D1 college to the WNBA, the NBA, wherever you end up.
Oh, I couldn't say it any better myself. I was going to say I think every sport obviously has a learning curve, and I think there's different levels of steepness. Because let's jump to another person that made their professional debut. Paul Skeens. He made his MLB debut.
I saw that McAfee clip the other day. I'm like, he looks like a dude that would down chicken Alfredo before throwing 100 miles an hour. It just makes too much sense for him not to eat anything else but chicken Alfredo.
Yeah, no, another guy that, like, again, does that show that, honestly, the D1 college, I don't know how long ago was he in college? He hasn't been in the minors more than...
He got drafted last year. He was 1-1 in 23, so...
Yeah, that's what I thought. So he was what? He's 1 year out of college? Was he at LSU?
Literally, yeah. He was on that LSU.
He was on that LSU team with that.
He was at Air Force first, but people kind of forget about that.
I did know that because he transferred before like mandatory service started. I do know that much.
Yeah, then I was reading earlier today that he does want to end up serving after his career's over. But
I think that's why he transferred. And obviously, this is just straight up conjecture. I have no grounds to prove otherwise. But I think straight up conjecture that he transferred to not have mandatory service so that he could go straight to professional baseball, and then as long as he doesn't damage himself too much, which I don't think he will. I think he'll be smart about it, and he's probably really good about like his diet and exercise and everything, and resting his arm. My arm literally hurts. I was breaking in my baseball glove the other day some more, and my arm hurts from that.
Yeah, if I started throwing again, my shoulder and my elbow would be all messed up because I'd start throwing.
Yeah, it's my elbow.
That's not there. You don't want to be hurt there.
I literally just turned and I was like, "Oh, that hurts a little bit. I'm old. I'm gonna need some Thomas Jonathan, I assume."
All right, man, not the Thomas, Jonathan.
I'm thinking I'm gonna need it. Unfortunately,
Yeah, go seek a second opinion before you do that.
I'm gonna
You know,
I'm gonna seek a first opinion because my brain just sitting here while my elbow hurts is the first opinion currently.
go seek a medical first opinion, not just a self-induced first opinion.
Someday I'll see a doctor.
I know that day won't be tomorrow, so I'll believe it when I see it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, friend.
Want to rate some movies real quick?
Yeah. Let's rate these 5 movies. Do you have
Let's rate
Do you have the list written out for me in no particular order?
Yeah, let me pull up the archives real quick. I'll give you go first, and I'll give mine. I actually need to think about it.
Is it in the same archive I'm thinking it's in?
It's definitely in that archive that I can't find, even though it's right in front. All right, there we go. All right, cool.
Is it actually in there?
It's in front of me. Yes, sir.
So I don't actually see the. Oh, because it was a text message. We used a real text message for this. That's how you know how important it was.
Yeah,
You know what? Let's talk about that for 1 second.
We're just in a conglomerate of people that don't have your traditional group chat through your typical phone messaging.
Yeah,
We use everything else but iMessage or whatever.
I was gonna say
that explains our dynamic very well.
Our group chat is spread across Instagram, Snapchat, and then actual text messages, like an actual group text message.
But it's used in that order. And I think that's the bigger part there. It's used in that set order.
It's worse than that. It's not used in that order. It's used in what app did I have open when I thought of a comment? Because if I have
iMessage is usually last. iMessage is almost always last.
Yeah, I was gonna say typically we stick to the Instagram, YouTube. Yeah, we send YouTube videos.
Where the hell did you come up with that one?
Yeah, I know.
And this so far has been the epitome of consistency, if I do say so myself.
We've actually been pretty good for rolling off the cuff, like I feel we are.
This is off the strength, off the cuff.
Careful with those words, sir.
Nobody's gonna ask me what half of these words even mean.
So people are gonna ask you many questions, and you're gonna be like, "Sir, I don't know what you're talking about."
Sir, I just work here. I just do this podcast in my spare time. This is all this is.
This is a Wendy's.
This is a Skyline chili, actually.
Oh, dude, I almost asked to have Skyline for dinner tonight. I almost had Skyline for dinner.
Here's my hot take about living out here, and I meant to say this like an hour ago. Is that I know you're a Skyline guy through and through. That's been established.
So I haven't tried Gold Star yet. So my opinions on Gold Star are to be determined.
I think it's like I don't have the urge to go to Skyline as much as you do.
I don't really have an urge. I will say the times I have
you've gone more times in 1 week than I have in about a year.
I've gone like 4 or 5 times total. Not counting like if we had a media meal and Skyline was the media meal. I've probably gone like 4 or 5 times.
You've gone at Reds games when they've gone though.
Yeah. Ooh. So that's a point I like to make. When I go to a stadium, right? Whether it's New York City, because I've only been to stadiums in 3 cities, 4 stadiums. Sorry, I'm looking at myself and now I'm starting to blink a lot. When I go to a stadium, I like to try like the stadium food, right? Like the local stadium flavor. When I go to Fenway, I don't like hot dogs. I really am not a big hot dog guy.
Not a big guy, huh?
But when I go to Fenway, I will have a Fenway Frank. At least 1, maybe 7. Knowing me, probably 28. And then I wonder where all my money went because hot dogs cost like $10 at Fenway.
Hold on. What kind of math is that? Look, I don't even crush Fenway Franks when I go. Like I straight up, I eat before
Papa
I
Ginos.
get a beer when I get in there. That's like all I do.
Papa Ginos too. I'll have a lot of Papa Ginos pizza at Fenway.
Papa Ginos the New England Skyline of pizza places.
Yes, I would agree with that take.
All right, that's a good one.
Papa Ginos is New England's version of Skyline, and it's not chili. It's quite literally.
I mean, they're everywhere though. Papa Ginos is literally everywhere out there.
The only thing more everywhere in New England than Papa Ginos is Dunkies.
Oh, there's just 1,000 of them in our home state. That's just like not a rational number at all.
Do you want to know my favorite fact about Dunkin' Donuts?
My favorite one is there's not one in Stowe.
That is actually mine as well. That was literally the only city or town in Massachusetts without a Dunkin' Donuts.
What's funny is that in Acton, there's
You have 3,
two on
right?
Main Street on opposite sides of the high school.
Yes.
You have the
yes.
one. You have
There's
the one by Night Your Average Joe's.
Yeah, I
And
was
then you
gonna
have
say
the one by the hardware store.
I was gonna say there's the one at the hardware store that I used to walk to from the Children's Museum for lunch.
Yeah, that one.
My lunch when I was in high school and I worked at that Children's Museum was half a dozen Boston cream donuts and 2 bottles of Coke every day.
That sums up me knowing you so perfectly that I think people will start to figure that out after a while.
Like I literally would take my break. Now we only got a half hour unpaid at this job. I would walk probably, it's not that far, it's maybe a half mile, absolute max.
You gotta go down the hill and cross the street, right?
Yeah, because I used to work up at the back building. So probably from the clock to the Dunkies was a half mile maximum. I would be there and back, have my food, and eat most of it in 22 minutes or less.
That sounds like you timed that out.
I did.
You don't come up with a number like 22 minutes and not have a stopwatch or something on
So I had a coworker. She was a good friend for a while. And she asked me, she's like, "How long does your lunch take?" I was like, today I'm not feeling great. It'll be like 22 minutes. And she was like, "I'm gonna time you." I was like, "Do it, because it'll be funny." Right? Like I always found little ways. I've always found little ways to try to create joy out of nothing. Right? Like let's make it a challenge. Let's create joy out of something. Let's just create something out of nothing. See what we can do. And so one day I had a 22-minute lunch just to prove that I could do lunch in 22 minutes, including walking to the Dunkin' Donuts and back. Was it a good life choice? No, but
I mean, now you're on marathons thinking about it. So
I've completed 2 marathons. Give me 1 second. I got the hard.
I mean, you weren't trying to prove me right on anything. I was just reiterating the fact that you have done that.
I still have, actually, my bib is on my desk from this past year. My first bib, the rain was so bad that the bib didn't survive. But yeah, so I just grabbed the medals to flex for like just 2 seconds because at the arena football team, as we mentioned, we would do group interviews with the candidates, especially when we get to the second round. And actually, it's my second favorite job interview question, but it's my favorite like kind of fun one that doesn't really tie to the ability to sell. And we did it as kind of a soft opener to just kind of see how you think, like, because some people would rationalize it out, other people would present me 5-1, right? Like, so they'd start with their worst and work to the best, and others would start with the best and work to the worst, like. And I had someone that was like, "Oh, number 3 is the 40-year-old virgin because it's just like kind of a neutral movie," and I was like, honestly, I respect that. It's not the best, not the worst, not a polarizing take. So the 5 movies in no particular order are The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Step Brothers, The Hangover, Dodgeball, and Ted.
You want to rank yours, or should I go first?
You can go first.
All right, so we're going 5-1 or just in top bottom?
It's your rankings. You present them how you want.
All right. So,
sir, the world is your oyster.
So I've always put The 40-Year-Old Virgin at the bottom. This movie, I don't think I've ever seen it either. So I don't want to put it in a spot that I haven't. Because I haven't seen it, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't feel any way to put it higher than that. So it's kind of like in my NA, kind of null and void category.
Mm-hmm.
Ted, I'm throwing number 4. As much as I love that sense of humor, I just think, like, when you look at that movie, it's basically just Family Guy for 90 minutes. I mean, it's kind of just the same joke over and over and over and over again. And I'm going to go The Hangover 3. Yeah, I've seen it. I think it's hilarious, but it's just like, it just kind of like sets the bar for me. It sets the bar of this list for for me, so to speak. Great cast, great jokes, great memes still to this day. I think the memeability of these movies is also very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm putting Dodgeball number 2. I do enjoy Dodgeball, but it's been a while. I'm overdue for a watch. But I think you just can't beat the intro of the Globo Gym Purple Cobras when you are, in fact, in a dodgeball league of your own with maybe a beer or two in the gullet, so to speak. Yeah, that was a direct cue for you, by the way, bud. I'm glad you read the room on that one.
Of course, that's my job.
And then, yeah, Step Brothers is just my favorite movie out of that list. Again, top tier memes. I think to sum up where we worked, it seemed like we were like stuck in our own version of that movie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think Step Brothers describes that work environment, and there are a lot of great moments, and then other moments were just the Catalina wine mixture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of rolling off your list. My list has changed since the last time I actually did these rankings because I finally have seen The Hangover. When I did the rankings, I had not seen The Hangover. I actually didn't see it until about 6 months ago. Was the first time I watched the movie The Hangover.
That movie's been out for far too long.
2013 it came out. I was in high school when it came out.
I mean, a decade though.
Yeah, it was on the list.
Yeah,
It was on the list. I will say The 40-Year-Old Virgin, although it's a fantastic movie, great Steve Carell film, really put him where sparked his career trajectory. I think the reason it will take the 5th spot in this list is one reason and one reason only. It aged itself way too quickly. A lot of the jokes, and I know you said you haven't seen the movie.
I've seen seen
lot.
The main clips of it. You know what I mean?
Quite a bit of the movie from my recollection. I haven't seen the movie in a long time because it's a good movie, but I don't have a desire to go watch The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Maybe as I get older, I'll probably appreciate it more because I've noticed my taste in movies has changed as I've grown.
Seems like a time and place kind of movie. If that makes sense.
But a lot of it kind of revolves around Steve Carell's character selling his stuff at we sell it on eBay store. That's a big kind of plot point of the movie, if nothing else. And it's one of those things where I sit there and I watch it and I'm like, well, I find that funny because I know what a we sell it at eBay store is. And I know that's a real thing. But when I remove it, if I go eventually, I'm going to have kids, hopefully. And I'll go to show them like when they're a little older these 5 movies, right? Because I'll make sure they see all 5 of these movies, and they'll be like, "Dad, what the hell is a we sell it at eBay store?" I was like, "Oh, it was a service for people to sell their stuff on eBay because they didn't necessarily know how to or whatever." And they'd be like, "That's stupid. You can just list it on eBay. It's really easy. I did it in my 3rd grade class on my 17,000th gen Chromebook." That's incredibly fast and faster than the home computer you had in 2007 when you were writing papers.
Dial-up.
Dude, I miss dial-up. Hot take, I miss dial-up. Fourth on my list is The Hangover. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie. But I think it was very overhyped, and I think me waiting a year to see the movie helped me see how overhyped said movie was. And I think that's a big part of why I rank it where I rank it. Is because of that one hard and fast fact. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the movie. It's a good movie. Number 3 on my list is actually Step Brothers. It's a great movie. I really like that movie. But again, kind of into the same realm of The Hangover. I think memeability is fantastic, but I think there's such a high level of hype that it could be a 5-star movie, but because it's hyped up to be a 5-star movie, if it falls short of a 5-star movie, it automatically seems worse than like some film students film at Miami that is going to be a 0.5-star movie. But if it exceeds that expectation, you're like, oh, actually, like I'd rather spend my time going to see that. I love The Hangover, I really do, but I think because of the amount of hype it's gotten, it helps it drop on the list because I feel like every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, it doesn't actually live up to the hype that it received. 2 on my list is Ted. And it's for one reason and one reason only, the Lucky Charms scene. Liam Neeson Lucky Charms scene. That scene alone, again, it is just Family Guy for 90 minutes. It's just a 90-minute episode of Family Guy with an animated teddy bear. But it's fantastic. The really crappy Boston accents, too. Like,
so the Peter Griffin Boston accent that carries through in Ted, it makes me feel like Peter Griffin's soul just got sucked into a teddy bear.
Oh, well, yeah, I agree.
It makes it rewatchable.
And I think, and again,
that fact of it more than anything.
The last time I watched Ted was actually like 6 or 7 months ago. So I'd been living here for a little while, and just hearing all the really bad accents and everything, like the bad faked Boston accents, like made me miss home, and like the kind of nostalgia moved Ted up on the list for me. Not watched the Peacock series. I actually haven't even watched Ted 2 in a while. But
that's the one where I don't want to segue on your take here, but Ted 2 is where they're at Comic-Con, right? And Donnie finds Ted in a pile of Teds. He's just screaming, Sweet Caroline.
Yes.
Oh, that's another Bostonian hot take thing.
We'll get there in a minute. Let me finish ranking these.
I need to address this.
Let me finish my top 5 movies. I have literally one left. It's Dodgeball. Dodgeball's my number 1 movie. It is by far the movie that has stood the test of time the best. I am a sucker for sports movies, and I am a sucker for anything that's based on reality, like something that really happened. So like Dodgeball, just because it fits both those categories, it's always infinitely going to be a better movie, and it's goddamn hilarious. No one makes me bleed my own blood.
Great list.
Thanks. I appreciate your list as well. Like, I respect where you put things. Now we can go to the Sweet Caroline take. Sorry.
So I think Sweet Caroline got it's an older song, so I don't expect a lot of people our age to necessarily know it. But the attachment our city has to that song.
So that's exactly where I was going to disagree with you. I'd say, average Joe, not from Boston.
If you've gone to Fenway, you know what I'm getting at.
Dude, the fact is the 7th inning stretch song. It's like
eighth inning.
It's the 7th inning stretch song, sir.
Eighth inning.
Is it the 8th?
It's the 8th inning.
I thought it was after Take Me Out to the Ball Game. They went right into Sweet Caroline.
No, sir.
No, sir. It's been a minute since I've been to a Red Sox game at Fenway.
I mean, the next Red Sox game we're going to is in a month anyway.
Yeah, it's at Great American, though.
I do get to be an out-of-townie again for the first time in 6 months, so I get to exercise that. Can't wait for that.
Oh, I can't wait for the bad Boston accents.
I mean, when we were at
they'll fuel me.
SmackDown, we were just chilling, throwing a couple back, right?
Yep.
Then we hear that cover, Sweet Caroline, and you and I just looked at each other like, are we gonna be asshole Bostonians, or are we just gonna let this slide?
And of course, we had to
let it slide.
Oh, but we went for it. We did yell. We sang.
We went for it. Nobody went with it, but
that was a little disappointing.
I was underwhelmed by the Cincinnati awareness of Bostonian baseball tradition. So
it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
I can almost guarantee you'll hear it sung at Great American, one of the 2 games you go to.
I still got to buy tickets for that first game.
I have to buy tickets for both games still, so we'll get there.
I'll get there.
That's future us's problem.
You know what? The tickets aren't that cheap. Tickets are cheap. I'm not worried about it.
Future me is bigger, smarter, stronger, faster, better at everything. He can handle it.
Probably financially stable.
More financially stable than me, hopefully.
You know what? I did make a big purchase today that hopefully in a future episode this will be reflected upon, but just not today. It's a professional investment, to say the least.
I'm proud of you, buddy. I really am.
You know what? That it justifies it when I say it's a professional investment. You know what I mean?
I agree. Now I think you're ready for the 3 words that every human ever is feeling.
Don't cock your cat and have it yet.
Well, yeah, no, that's illegal. That's how you get towed.
Yeah. No, we'll get to illegal boss telling you things next time.
I'm sorry. It's the 10 words. It's the 10 words that I know you've been waiting for the most, my friend. Are you ready?
My timbers are shivering just to hear these words resonate for the first time since our road trip from the greater Boston area to Cincinnati, Ohio.
And as you know, the pedal on the right makes you go vroom, motherfucking vroom. Have a great night.
Have a great night.